lost Dolores. So I'd like to welcome you all, and we're going to be painting Gray Whale Cove today.
Sounds good.
Hey, Harleen.
Ah, Nina. Hi, Nina.
Good to see you.
So I went down to Gray Whale Cove yesterday. It was really beautiful. It was kind of foggy and kind of sunny. And the first painting I painted was this one, which is the one that you voted for to paint yet today. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just focus on the rocks. And I did this one. And while I was painting it, the sun came out and just caught the tops of the rocks. So that was nice. And then I went down the beach and painted the other way, which
Can't see your painting, Mary Kay.
You can't see my painting.
No.
Look up at the pictures on top. I don't.
So you need to go up to the top, and there's some blue arrows.
It's the 3 little blue dots. Or the white dots on the blue square.
And just push on you.
Push on the paintings. You should see the paintings.
It says Mary Kay's iPhone on the bottom.
There. Now I see it.
That's it.
Got it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
There's that structure on top there on Devil's Slide. And yesterday it was painted bright orange. And then I came home and I painted this from the photograph, but I think the original is better. So that's where those are. You have that photo if you want to paint that later. So we're going to try to go for this one today. So the way that let me just talk about the things that I find kind of exciting about this scene. So the things that I like are that it comes down in the V, and you can see the ocean through the V, and then you can see the ocean over here. And there's some white water right in there. And I like the splashes. I like these rocks. And the cliffs are beautiful. So you can see that for a square painting, I had to cut that much off. So that's about how it's going to sit right there. And so I have to make the decision. I think this becomes the focal point. So I don't, well, the way that the photograph is, the focal point is left of center. But in this painting that I did plein air, so just looking at the rocks, sitting on the beach on a stool, I moved the focal point over to the right a little bit, so it's off center. So I think I'll go with the way that I'm going to use my photo as a reference and really try to just work from the painting. So the first thing I want to do is just sketch it. I'm not going to trace this one. I'm going to sketch it with a water-soluble graphite pencil. This one's called General Sketch and Wash. So the thing I want to try to do is get that little V right in here. So I'm going to start drawing right from the bottom of that little V. It comes up in this rock. So when I'm drawing, what I do is I look at, either one of the two things I'm looking at, and I try to just follow along with my mind, but have the pencil drawing on the paper. Every little nick and cranny, whoops, I have a problem. I'm making it this big, but it's going to go off the page. So I'm going to start over. Try that again, so that I get my rock right in here. need to change the shape of it a little bit so that it fits in my painting. I'm making more boobs. I guess Elaine didn't join us.
Yes, I'm here, Mary
Oh,
Kay.
good. Okay, so you can make, so I started another boob there. Lots of boob paintings here. And then this one comes up. And on this painting here, I made it go out the top. In the photograph, it doesn't. But I'm gonna go up higher and make it go out there. But the rocks don't have to be exactly the same as they are. And then my ocean will be here. And then there's rocks in front of it. I didn't put a rock right in front of that V, just to the side there. And then there's rocks over here. And then there's all the rocks in the cliff. And from here, the bottom of that rock has just that very slight line going down. And here's where the shape of the ocean comes in. So it comes down just a tiny little bit, and then it makes this kind of a C sort of shape. And the sand will be down here, and the surf and any reflections will be in there. So that's my sketch. Now I'm going to do something with the sky that's a little different than I've done in the others. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the sky in my palette. That was the Devil Slide colors. I used, if you're going to do Devil Slide, I used quinacridone gold, and the red was Perylene maroon. And then I grayed that. I made my green with, how about if I just email that to you? It's too complicated. All right. When I paint this size, I really like using my 1/2-inch brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the sky. There's a little bit of, looks like some sepia or something in it. I'm wetting around. This is a dark rock, so it's okay if the pencil marks show there. I'm wetting all my sky, but not the ocean, and around the rocks. Now I'm going to do something I haven't done before. All that gray is the soluble graphite from the pencil. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to paint it upside down because the fog down here is going to be the first thing I put in. The photograph doesn't have the fog, but it was foggy down there. And the fog that I'm going to do is French ultramarine blue with a little bit of burnt sienna into it. That really grays it. But it had a purple cast, so I'm going to add a little bit of permanent rose. So that is going to be my little foggy bank. Like I said, it's not in the photo. I took these photos after I painted, but okay, so I'm going to put the fog in right here at the horizon line. And I'm going to go into the French and take my fill and add that. So if I have the purple along the horizon line, then it needs to be the same height on both sides of that big rock. I'm really making that rock pointy right now out of my sky. Ah! There It looks like the Salesforce building. Oh my gosh. I'll try to fix it up a little so it's not so Salesforce-y. Oh well. Maybe that's better. And then I think I'm going to go into a little bit of Antwerp. These are always the same colors I use for skies all the time. And then maybe more French. And again, I want to make some little light areas. I think I'm over painting a lot. See, look at that. I just filled that all in. Well, I kind of think I need to maybe do a little lifting with this paper towel and see if I can make it look like a few clouds. I'm just making a mess of it. Well, I think I'm just going to leave it alone. The sky is wet, so if I paint the rocks right now, I'm in big trouble. I think what I'll do, I think I'll just put the sand in. So the sand that I'm going to use is raw sienna and burnt sienna. And a little bit of my sky in there. There, that's it. It goes right along the bottom of the cliff until the water is splashing up. So trying to remember to sign my paintings. This is a great place to sign it. A little bit of dark and put it over that so it shows up better. And leave it alone, I think. Well, you know what? I kind of like how like those watermarks kind of formed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I lucked out. It almost looks like there's some in there too. So I think, yeah, it's pretty dry. So I'm going to go ahead and be brave and just go right into my rocks. The tricky part about the rocks is trying to get the splash. So I'm going to start with, I mentioned in the email that I made my own my own sepia with burnt sienna and French ultramarine blue. And the reason that I'm doing that instead of using the sepia in the corner of my palette right there is that this sepia is staining. And if I make a little mistake, I can't lift it at all. You want this down a little closer now?
Sure.
Okay, so here's my sepia at the top. Oh boy, that is a nice dark black sepia. See, like right there, I just went out into the sky, but I can lift that right up. So that was good. I think I'm going to use a little bit of quinacridone gold at the very top of this rock. Even though it's not in the picture, it was just that there was about 10 minutes where it was glowing. It was so beautiful. So in my mind, I can see it. And now I'm gonna make more sepia with more burnt sienna because that was pretty black from all the French. And I'm just gonna, no, not enough pigment, too much water. Oh, Petrie. This rock's got a mind of its own. Well, all watercolor does. That's the that's the beauty, the frustration of watercolor. Now, it went for a walk without me there. So I need to either lift it or make the rock bigger. Let's see if I can lift it. Yeah, lucky me. All right, so now the trick is we want to try to make a splash. So to make a splash, we have to leave it white, but then we also have to add water up into it. Got a dirty paper towel here. I had, I don't know if you can see the green was on my paper towel, and that green is a green blue, and so it's very staining. So that's there to stay. Hopefully the water will sort of keep going on its own up there. So that's a splash right there. Now I'm going to come work over on this big rock, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with quinacridone gold up here. Looks like there was something else in that. Probably some burnt sienna. Yeah, that's what it was. Ah, did it again. It's very hard to see from the photograph all the layers of the rocks in this. But there's just lots of beautiful patterns and layers. But at the very bottom of the rock, it's very dark because that's where the tide pools, all the little mussels and everything are. The stained rock. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I just got myself into the sepia. So again, I'm trying to get a little splash here. So I'm leaving some white. Getting really washing my brush out and then kind of brushing up. Tapping it with my paper towel. Let's see if it makes a splash. It is kind of making a splash there. I like that look. One thing I realized when when I put the fog in, I didn't leave out any splash coming up behind this rock here or here. So that was not good planning. What I'm going to do now, oh my gosh, is I just had a big drop of water on this painting, which I want to try to keep nicer. I'll move that out of the way a little bit. I want to add the darks from the bottom of that big old cliff right in there. So that's going to be homemade sepia, French, and burnt sienna. lots of it. Let's see if I can get it to come in dark down here. Trying to go around my splash now. I don't know if it's working. And I'll put a few more darks up in here. And then there's a lot of darks right in here because of that. The way the rock is so dark at the base of it. We're going to try this here, right in here. Ah. And then this makes the focal point also, having the strongest darks right in there. Okay, I'm going to call that good for now. The next thing I'm going to work on is the ocean. So I didn't leave a little white spot there for the splash. So I can either wipe it out and try to get a little splash there, or just make the splash a little lower. But let's see if I can lift it. So this is a thirsty brush, which means I get it wet into the clean water. You can't see that, my water, but that's clean water. And then I dry it off, and then I kind of scrub. Then I can lift with my paper towel, just blot it, and I can kind of get it to sort of make a little white spot back. We'll make it pretend that there's a little splash coming into this rock on behind here. So the ocean yesterday, as far as I can tell, the red tide's all gone, and it was very turquoise. So the way that I make that color is Antwerp and burnt sienna, and it just makes that green. But yesterday was so turquoise, and I think what happened was I accidentally touched my green blue, just the tiniest bit, which is very staining, so it's not going to lift if it's not right, but I'm going to give it a try. So here's the horizon line with that color, trying to get it so that it feels like it's splashing. I'm going to put it right in here too. I think it's time to change brushes and go to my number 10 from the museums. A little more Antwerp in it. Ah, it went up into the sky. If I have the white splash here, then it needs to be on that side of the rock too. So I want to make sure that I have a little bit of, you can see it in the photo. There's white right here. There's white here, and then the rock, and then white down there. It's not exactly at the same height, but it's still there. I'm just going to soften this with a thirsty brush right in there. And now I have to fix this. So it went sailing up into the fog with a staining color. I might be raising my horizon line by the time this is done. I don't know, maybe we got it. And then there's the rolling splash. And then there's more splash in front and a little bit of blues. I'm going to use the same, I don't want to go too fast from, I'm just going to put little greens in here. Then I'm going to go more to French. Now I'm working from my not so much from the photograph as from my picture now, because this one had some blue in the surf here in front of the rocks. So first I put in that green color, but now I'm going to go to more French, because then it was picking up more of the sky color. So now I'm going to French. I'm putting French over that, and I'm leaving some white surf. Here, that's the white. Some more white, leave that white. And then in my sand, I'm going to go to French ultramarine blue and a little bit of the sepia color and get my sand to be wet and dark. And I keep going back and forth, back and forth. Now what I really like is the reflections in the wet sand right there. I think that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is go with a little bit more French, but not so brown. With a, yeah, I think that's about it. Maybe some green too. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to put this right in here. So my sand is wet, and then and it's dark, and then the sky is reflecting, then the surf. And in this part that I just have the sky reflecting, I'm going to get my darks. Same sepia that I made, that's burnt sienna and French ultramarine blue. And then look and see where my darks are and put the reflection of that rock right here in that wet water, that wet French. And then over here, the same thing. But right in between where the rock is not, I'm not putting it. There should be blue sky right there. And there it is, a little bit right there. So that I like. That part I thought was very beautiful. So really the last thing to do then is just to get those little rocks in and maybe put some more strokes into the big mountain. So I have those drawn out, and those are going to be really dark. So that really dark again is the homemade sepia, which is French ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. Using my number 10. And now I have to try to not get, I'm trying to not make them look like boobs. So hard though. Just they've got to be uneven. And not loaves of bread. So what?
You're a hard taskmaster.
Yeah, somewhere between not loaves of bread and not boobs, and rocky, and different shapes.
Do they have splashes in front?
They can. So how I painted that was I didn't paint all the way to the bottom. And now I use a little bit, a damp brush, and sort of just make the water sort of dilute and paint with water, which is of course Steve's favorite.
Uh-huh.
And now so I'm painting with water. Now do I put a rock right there? I think I should. Let's see what happens. So there's 3 rocks, but they're different distances apart. And I'm trying to make it not just black, but some brown too. Okay, and I think that there is going to be a reflection in the water, at least, of the rocks. So I think if I just take a little bit of color from the rock and skip just the tiniest bit and then just put it into that water, I'll make it look like there's a little bit of reflection. Okay, so I think it's coming along. Oops, so wiggly. I think the things to do to finish it are to get more streaks in the big cliff, to get a little bit of shadow in the splash, and a little bit of surf in the surf in here, and decide if I need anything else right in there. So I think I'm going to put the shadow into the splash. That color is going to be the sky and the ocean color. And if I just kind of make my brush with real pale paint, kind of brush up the flick and add a little water, it will start to kind of look like there's a little bit of shadow in the splash. Maybe too much, but all right. I don't like my pencil marks showing right here and here and here, so I'm just gonna scrub them out with a clean, dry brush. So that looks like that looks like the water's in front of this one. So like the wave just went right in front. So maybe I don't need a little splash there. Maybe I should, I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna take out my pencil marks right here in the middle. See what I'm gonna do with them. I think I'm gonna put in a little bit of this one coming down. Well, it looks splashy in there. I need to decide if I want to take out that little area right where my brush is pointing, and if I want to lower that little roll of the ocean right in there. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to paint in more stripes in my big rock and throw some more stuff in my sand and come back and decide on that after I get this more done. So I'm just going to take more burnt sienna, a little bit of French, and take the side of my brush and just try to change this up. I'm going to really darken this big corner that's coming in. I don't really want my eye to go there. I don't want the sun shining up there so much. Whoa, yeah, okay. Make it darker like that. Or just change the shape of that. That's better. I'll add some more dark here. When the paint's wet, it's always darker. When it dries, then it's much lighter when it dries. Just paint with a little water, see if I can get a nice feel. And I'm gonna make that little spot right there just a little more orange with quinacridone gold, and burnt sienna. Just gonna put another layer over it. Whoa, that's bright. Whoa, okay. The sun was really shining on it. Oh my gosh. Almost feel like I would see some of that down here. Put a little bit of that color into my sand down here. And I'll just dirty up my sand with some burnt sienna, a little bit of French. I'm going to use the side of my brush, just whoa. I can splatter if I feel like it. Set of footprints going back there. That's a dirty beach now. Okay. And there's a white streak coming through, which I'm glad I left. Where underneath where my pencil is right now, there's a white streak. And I think I could just put a little bit of my ocean or French ultramarine blue into that. Very, very pale and diluted. And make it sort of rolling. I'm just making little I made little down strokes and now I'm diluting it with water. Okay, I think I should stop with that. And then I feel the last decision I need to make is what to do with that area below my brush right in there. I took all that out and now it just doesn't seem like it needs it. Any thoughts?
I think it looks good.
Leave it alone?
Yeah. Just looks like a nice big splash.
How about right here? Should I move that ocean down just where my brush is, right in the middle of the T, or leave it alone?
That I don't know.
I'd leave it alone.
Yeah.
All right, then it's done.
It looks great, Mary Kay.
Yeah.
So,
Good
Wonderful.
job.
we'll stop right there.
So it really looks nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, looks great, Mary Kay.
Did anybody paint? Oh, wow. What size is that, Penny?
See that?
I can see it. Yeah, what size is it?
It's just 3 by 5.
Oh, so
Just
it's,
just
pretty-
very hard.
wow.
Looks great.
It looks really good, yeah. I like your sky and I like your really dark rock against that sky.
Mm-hmm.
And the rocks on the left that are nice and dark.
Mhm, very nice.
Yeah, you got your sand is really wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice splash.
Yeah. Dee, did you paint?
I painted, but
Oh.
which D? Other D.
Well, no, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Vicky has hers up. Let's look at Vicky's.
Looks good.
Really
Yeah.
good, Vicky.
Yes.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. I would, just on those 3 rocks that you have the splash, really good job leaving the whites of the splash, which is the hardest thing. But you kind of have like just a kind of an outline of those rocks. So you kind of need to bring some of the color down. You know how, like I say, don't make 3 trees exactly the same height. So what you did was you made those 3 rocks the same amount of splash showing. So a couple of them just need to have a different shape in the splash.
Okay.
Does that make sense? From the top of the rock down to the splash needs to be different shapes. All right, who's next?
I'll show you mine real quick because I'm off to tennis. But
Oh,
my rocks disappeared, so I have to redo them.
well,
It was too wet and kind of don't know.
Um,
Pots.
when you redo them, one thing you can do is just put just like a touch of it. I want to show you a painting that Evelyn did out in my living room. Should I take a picture and send it to you because you have to go?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'll send
Thank
it
you
to
so much.
everybody. So one of the things you can do when you've got that splash and you have a rock is you can just put a little tip of the rock and it reads the splashes all around it. So I'll send
okay.
you a picture of how she did that.
Oh, great. Thanks. I appreciate that.
I'll send it to everybody when I do today's email.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, have fun.
Okay.
Bye.
Anybody else?
I didn't paint your, I did Evelyn's bouquet.
Oh, very good. I like the vase. Oh,
Very nice.
she'll be
Yeah.
really happy that you painted that.
That was kind of fun. It was a no nonsense kind of quick thing, you know?
Good. Anybody else?
I'll do mine later.
All right.
I do mine later too.
Okay, I hope you guys send them to me. Are you going to keep painting, Elaine?
I think so.
Yeah? Good, I'm
I
glad.
was ambivalent, but
Dee, put yours back up.
Yeah, let's see it.
You went too fast. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, hold it closer, Dee.
Bring it
So-
closer in.
I'll finish it later.
Yeah, it's lovely. You have a really nice contrasts. Your darks next to your lights are really nice.
Thanks. Good job, everybody.
All right, is that it?
Thank you, Mary Kay.
Thank you, Mary
That's
Kay.
All right, send me your
Okay.
pictures. So good to
Okay.
see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.